So we're here at Innovation in HR. Thank you very much for joining us, and I can see already that it's impressive to see there's a lot of people coming online. This is Innovation in HR. Just tell you a little bit about what we do. I'm not sure if you've seen some of the previous sessions, but these webinars really have one main objective. And we're looking to try and address with industry experts what job seekers can be doing to improve their chances of getting a job, how they can create a network, how they can use technology and all different types of tools and processes to really stand out from the crowd. This initiative has been put on by a few different companies. I'm Adam Lewis, I'm from Innovate CV, and we found this initiative with S&R Denton, a law firm, global law firm, Sterling Infosystems, which is a background checking company, and we have a streaming partner as the Facebook Social Jobs Partnership who are helping us promote this online. So we've come together, this is our mission, and the last ones have been really productive. We've changed the format a little bit because today's discussion is all about advertising, marketing, and PR. And so we thought we'd make it a little bit more informal. We have an audience here in the room who are going to be participating within the discussion, and we've got a really great panel, all coming with a kind of mixture of different skill sets and experiences to really try and help you identify how you can improve your chances of getting a job. Also, we'll look at some company side of things, so what companies are doing, how they're using technology, how they're using social media to try and get their name out there and to try and engage with candidates on a different type of level to what they could have done before. So there's a lot to talk about. You can engage with the panelists in the room in several different ways. You can, obviously through the Facebook page, the live stream Facebook application, which you can access either through the link that is displayed on the Social Jobs Partnership page or the Innovate CV Facebook page. You can come onto that link and you can just type in your questions over there. We have a Twitter feed set up, so if you want to hashtag innovation in HR, please feel free, no question is wrong, everything is valuable, we want to help you and that's the whole purpose of it, so please feel free, ask away, and I'm sure someone here in the room will be able to kind of give some really valuable advice. So without any further ado, I'm going to ask the panel to introduce themselves, also kind of explaining a little bit about their expertise so that you know how you can direct your questions.
Mike Jacobson, I work at a place called 72 and Sunny, an ad agency in Los Angeles. We work on everything from Activision video games to Target to Samsung and more awesome stuff, and I'm a strategist there, so I work on Call of Duty specifically, and yeah, I've been in the industry for about 4 or 5 years, kind of on the younger side, so yeah, I'm also a magician.
We're going to see some magic at the end. We're going to close with a trick, right? Okay?
See what happens.
Good.
Hi, I'm Danielle Raguzin. I work for Touch Marketing. It's a marketing company out of Newtown, Connecticut. And we work in global consumer product sales. We specialize in bringing the whole brand to market, managing the brand, building the brand, and selling at major retail chains like Walmart, Sam's Club, BJ's, Costco. I work there as an account executive, and my specialization is in market research.
Hi, my name is Josh Shapiro. I'm the managing partner of Choice Marketing, a small boutique marketing firm specializing in marketing strategies through digital program execution. My background is both in the agency world in New York City as well as global experience working for IBM in Europe. So probably the senior of this group, been in business for over 25 years.
My name is Ryan Adamiak. I'm a Google certified AdWords Professional. I run search engine marketing campaigns for startups in New York City, and I'm a freelance contractor that also teaches a Skillshare class on Google AdWords and SEM.
Hi, my name is David Oralevich, and I am the founder of a design marketing firm called Designs by Dave O. We specialize in working with small to medium-sized companies, developing their online strategy, online marketing, their search engine optimization, the logos and branding. I come with 15 years of staffing experience within the digital media marketing world, and have a different view on how people can market themselves.
Ryan Garman, I am the SVP of Strategic Partnerships here at Innovate CV. My background is primarily on the agency side, working with, I guess, larger brands, but from the startup agency side. It's been a lot of fun to be part of the Innovate team, and I guess, see the progression that's being made both on the candidate as well as the corporate side in the HR space, and I'm hoping that this group is going to be able to kind of bring that all together and talk about where the future of this is going to continue to go.
Great. So I think we're ready to kind of make a start. And what I'd like to do initially, before we kind of jump into like examples or new types of ways that job seekers can come into the industry, it'd be interesting to kind of get a perspective in terms of like general skill sets that are required for this industry. So often especially entry-level types of candidates are going to say this is the industry for me, but where do they fit? What skill sets do they have and where do they fit? And it's very interesting, Mike. I think you're quite modest in your introduction, but it is I was very impressed to see at a young age you really accomplished a lot. And with the Business Insider giving I think they were putting you in the top 30 globally in terms of creative, so that's a big achievement.
Thank you.
Obviously, you've got a skill set that's been recognized. What are the skill sets do you feel that you need, that are needed for this industry, especially amongst the young people in terms of who want to get in here?
Yeah, it's funny because the young people that I've interacted with and I've seen come into 72 and Sunny, or the majority of just people in advertising in general, I feel like they have a passion for ads and making ads and advertising stuff. And in the end of the day, in my opinion, that's not really what gets you in. It's almost like, this is going to sound kind of weird, but like ad people are jaded, right? And so in my opinion, there is more like love and heat around people who are just like passionate about the world and curious about culture and stuff like that, rather than like want to make ads and like here's a cool ad that I like. Which is why I think, so yes, I'm a side job as a magician, and 72 and Sunny in particular, they love having people that have other passions, and having passions outside of whatever you're trying to get into, in my opinion, is like one of the most important things. Just to show that like you're diversifying, you have other things that you love in life,
Well, isn't that because though, probably the person that you're never going to create an ad for is yourself. So you have to know about other people.
Totally.
So but how do you separate yourself then? What tools do you have? When you were going in, how did you get that job?
Well, it's fun. I pretty much just did magic, and I had a horrible interview, but I did magic, and it was great. Which is funny because if you think about it, like I have my resume, I had a couple decent internships and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, the other thing I was going to say I totally forgot was, when you're a junior person, in my opinion, people just want to a lot of junior people are very similar, right? At the end of the day, we'd all like to think they're very different. However, the average junior person is the average junior person. So in my opinion, you just have to be liked, and people want to work with you. So to me, and though my fallback was magic, because I literally half the interview was me doing tricks to this guy, at the end of the day, that allowed me to express my personality more, and I think that got me the internship, which got me the job eventually. Back to your point though, I half agree with what you're saying, because as a strategist, my biggest asset is knowing who we're talking to. Mm-hmm. And if you my past at 72, and I think why I've excelled is because one of the best things 72 is good at is young dudes. And I happen to be a young dude. So everything that I've worked on, whether it's video games or burritos or I'm trying to think of what else, even Gap or stuff like that, has all been around young people. And so I'm like, oh my God, these are my people. I can call people, and as a strategist, I can call 10 of my friends and get a good idea for what they're feeling and what we need to do.
So is it more that you've got interest in as Ryan said, you've got an interest in a certain sector of people, because obviously you're not marketing it to yourself, you can relate to kind of young dudes, so I think that if you really understand a particular market, a particular group of people.
Very much so.
Josh, what's your perspective?
Well, that's part of it. When you're getting into the business, there's, whatever you start off, it's at the ground level, right? So you are starting off at the basics of supporting a team that's usually in place. I think you hit on a key point. I think in terms of getting entry into this market and understanding what you need to do, I think internships are critical because it gives you exposure where there's not much risk. And I think you get there, you understand what's happening in an agency, how an agency operates, and how, in fact, you're not going to be the star from the day that you walk in. You have a definite role, a definite responsibility, and you grow over that time. What happens, quite literally, and this is the ultimate form of networking, is when you get this internship, and usually it's non-paid, you get this internship and you excel at it, you have a great opportunity to be hired. because at a junior level in the advertising, marketing, PR industry, there are a significant amount of jobs. And the reality is, the reason that it is because you're not expensive, right? And because you're not expensive, you can provide a lot, and you have a lot of energy, you can provide a lot of resource to help. And if you have that passion, you know, whether you're a marketing person that is looking to start off in the advertising world and then move into another business world, or you actually have that creative passion where you want to be in the agency business for your whole career. Getting started with that internship is a key starting point.
I think that's so important. And that, to me, what I've experienced, at least in the LA agency world, that is like the norm now. And I feel like the prevailing feeling is like if you were to hire a junior person without having an internship, it's like buying a car without test driving. Right? So it's like, why would you not do it? And you earn your rank a little. I interned for 9 months before I got hired, and it was totally worth it, you know?
Well, the other aspect of that, right? So internships are critical, right? It doesn't matter, you know, a lot has to do with personality, but school that you went to actually has a lot of impact when people are looking at resumes, right? Because if you can get somebody from a top school in the market that, or out there, you know that they come to you with at least a certain bit of credibility that they achieve that education. It's not foolproof, because I've seen the case where kids have come in from Harvard or kids have come in from the local community college. The local community college kid just had so much more personality, so much more drive, so much more street smarts and credibility.
Let me stop you there, actually, because that's leading us very nicely onto kind of where we want to go. And we actually had a kind of pre-discussion a little bit earlier just on that very point. And I think more than any other industry, or definitely many industries, personality is so important. I mean, at the end of the day, we have a video clip where we interviewed David Roth, one of the retail CEO of WPP, and one thing I remember he said to me was that if you can't market yourself, then how are you going to market products? And so what we were discussing before is, it does seem strange that, yeah, you've got to get the internship, you've got to build a network, but the actual way, also we'll speak a little bit about how you create that network, but the method of application is still pretty standard. It's the same as it's been for many years, and that hasn't changed much. I've done a little bit of research online. I want to play a very quick clip, which I think, Ryan, you'll be able to speak to, about a creative way of someone looking to get into advertising, what he's done. To me, that's very impressive. I saw this. The guy wants to go into marketing. He's done a bit of Google PPC. He's put $6 behind the campaign. He's outside the box. He hasn't put together a traditional resume. He's thought, these guys are going to be searching for themselves, and this is a real opportunity for me. I mean, Ryan, as someone who's an expert in this area, would you have ever considered this in terms of being able to, trying to stand out in this way?
Well, I think it shows that the paradigm has shifted. It's going against the grain, thinking outside the box in this new modern economy is what's really important if you're young. The way I actually got into it was as a guitar teacher. I was teaching lessons, and then I was trying to figure out a way in college to get more students. And then I started to discover Google. I actually majored in history, but then I started to figure out search engine marketing. And if you develop skills that are separate from your education, I think sometimes people rely a little bit too much on, well, maybe 20 years ago if you went to a good school, you kind of were guaranteed to get like a good entry-level job, but nowadays with the economy, it's so important to differentiate yourself. And I think it's a perfect example of somebody that went against the grain, and obviously it worked for him.
And I think this this to me sounds like the right kind of approach for someone who's a creative.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a bunch of these different examples online. I mean, we actually saw a fantastic, I won't show it now, but a fantastic clip that the BBC picked up on. There was a guy called Graham Anthony who was actually looking to get into PR in London. Couldn't get a job for months, and suddenly he put together this thing he called a CVIV, a curriculum vitae interactive video, where he's put this whole interactive approach on YouTube. It tells you all a little bit about himself, and you click through it and you see a lot of his personality. The guy got about 3 or 4 offers that week that this went live, and the BBC picked up on it, the whole documentary. But this is still not the mainstream. This is like a few very creative people trying to find different ways. And in terms of what Innovate does, it's a little bit along those lines. I mean, I just wanted to kind of show 1 or 2 very quick examples of how can we create something more for the mainstream. And I want to get your views on this, David, in a minute, because what I feel is, here's Ryan's Innovate CV. This is a CV, again, got a lot of structure, but if you see down below, you actually can include more creative elements. It's online. You see a lot more about your personality, and you can add video to this, content. I was actually looking for some examples before, and I found a very funny one, quite relevant and topical. I'm not sure he's looking for a job just yet. But as you can see, you can really make a very online portfolio, which again, for me, resonates and seems kind of an obvious type of move for someone who's looking to get into industry. Dave, having been in the kind of HR recruiting side 15 years, could you ever see such a tool becoming a standard in certain industries like this?
Well, if one thing I could say about the industry itself is the way that companies and both recruiting agencies and HR departments organize their candidates and their clients and people who respond to the job, it's lacking. There is no product out there that is all-encompassing, that is great, that will capture all your information. Now, an HR representative has so many things that they have to do right now. They're doing HR, they're doing benefits, they're doing so many different pieces. To send a traditional resume to someone,
It seems ridiculous.
A little bit.
I mean, especially on the ad agency side. I mean, your
it shows
job
no
is-
creativeness.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, as a company, how could you ask for the most creative people when you say, "Give me a Word resume"?
And
It seems absurd.
Not to go back to these examples, but we had someone send in their resume on a cake, which was funny
that's awesome.
until we actually ate it, and then you're like, oh, you can't read it, which is not really didn't think it through. But another person sent a cease and desist letter saying that they started a place called 72 and Sunny in another city or something like that, and they needed to have an interview so they could talk to them, and they came face to face, and they realized they just wanted a job interview.
I once had someone send me a shoe, and in the letter it said, "Now that I have my foot in the door, will you see us?" And
That's
you know what? We saw the person. It was great. It was just out of the box, something different. But again, that's not the norm. That's not going to happen
right.
every day. And the Google example is unbelievable. Great for the industry, but those people who are starting out, they may not know to do that.
But I think at the end of the day, it's like just showing. It doesn't have to be super unique. Just showing your personality in some way.
And actually, I think there are a couple of people here in the audience who have actually spent a bit of time, job seeking and have been looking at this industry. It'd be interesting to see if they have any views in terms of, what tools did you use? Like, did you use a traditional resume? Did you look for something more creative? I mean, I think Claire, you've had a bit of experience lately.
Absolutely. I think I went too much the traditional route because it was what I was told I was expected to do, and should have been a little bit more creative. I have a friend who's looking for a job in marketing, and she's been very, very creative. She's basically just put together a pack and invented a product and shown how she's going to market it, and just to prove that she is a talented marketer. And these are different ideas that she's actually thought of implementing, and that she just wanted to show it this way. I find that I was looking for a job for about 10 months, to give you my background. And I'm now a designer here at Innovate, and doing a lot of branding work. And for me, I went through my network, I went through sending out my resume blindly to companies, also looking for jobs for open positions, but I found a lot of times at agencies that they didn't automatically have open positions, and so trying to get a foot in the door the other way. And so I struggled a lot. And ultimately, I think that it's these kinds of tools and making that will help you, and also just trying to be creative and think outside the box. And as one of our panelists says, showing your other passions and showing your personality and what your drive is.
I mean, I think kind of I want to park this discussion because I think we all here in this room agree that especially in this industry, more the personalities, and this comes very back to what you said right at the beginning, Mike, in terms of just that magic. You're a magician. There's more to you than what can be shown on a traditional application. And I think it'll be interesting to see. It's surprising that it hasn't happened yet. It'll be interesting to see what happens in this space in the next few years, especially in these types of industries. But I think I would like to kind of move on a little bit now. And now we've talked about the actual application. It would be interesting to see the tools that are available for people to meet people in the industry, because this is a very competitive space. I think that somewhere within PR, advertising, marketing, whether it's on the account management side, the creative side, it's something that people want to get into. How can you develop a network effectively? I mean, obviously there's so much online now. I mean, Danielle, you found a nice job. How did you go about actually kind of networking and kind of interacting with companies?
Well, basically it's just never letting an opportunity go. Even if you think that something is not going to be right up your alley, go for the experience, gain the experience, talk to anyone you could possibly talk to, find out what they're about, what they're doing, and it sparks interest, it sparks ideas, and just keep an arsenal of contacts is what you really need. You could see someone, not see them for another 2-3 years and say, oh wait, I need help with this. Let me call him, let me call her, and kind of just keep this open.
So not being shy to engage with people.
Yeah.
And look at yourself. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No.
I was saying, look at yourself as a brand. I mean, look at yourself and continue. You want to connect with as many people as you can. I mean, every person you connect with is a lead if you want to look at it from a customer acquisition standpoint. And connect with them on Facebook. Connect with them on LinkedIn. Make sure your Facebook's or settings are set.
Facebook might be good. Yeah.
Be careful with Facebook, because there are so many times I've seen people just shoot themselves in the foot for no reason, for a silly
But
post.
Facebook is a very, very valuable tool.
But it's a necessary evil for the job world.
Just set your settings.
Smart.
Just set your settings.
Just you don't have to prove a
Say
point.
your
You don't have to do
settings, be smart about it.
Exactly.
I mean, actually, Ryan, you may as well repeat it. He told me a story about a friend of yours who used Facebook so well. It's a bit similar to that Google story.
It was very similar to the Google. Yeah. I mean, he could not get a job anywhere and just went in, set himself up with an ad account, and just started running. I mean, you can pay like 20-30 cents for a click. Mm-hmm. And if they're clicking through to your resume, I mean, it's a very cheap way, 30 cents to get someone to view your resume.
And having done that myself, not for a resume, but for my business, and the amount of Facebook hits that you get, even if you set up a little budget, you could do $25, $30, $40 a day, and you never pay more than that. But the amount of hits that you get, there were random people coming to my company, coming to my Facebook page, liking it, and that just compounds. It goes on and on and on and on.
I mean, that is really the beauty of a tool like Facebook. Again, especially in this industry where you want to kind of show who you are. It's not you don't want to be guarded. You want to show who you are, and it gives a very open dialogue with companies. I mean, we can turn it a little bit to the company side now. Previously, companies were engaging, in a very traditional ways with candidates. They're going to careers fairs, going to schools. Now to have that dialogue, it's not necessarily you're a candidate, you have an interest in the brand. I mean, large companies have amazing presences on Facebook where you can just say, I'm interested, this is who I am, I have a question. And it's just such quick engagement.
It's important to have that, but even more important is to utilize it and interact with it.
Right.
There's so many people out there who come to me and say, I want to have a Facebook page, I want to set this up, I want to have this click to that, etc. And that's great, and we set it up, but 3 months later, I called them up, I said, so I went on your Facebook page today, and there's nothing there. So what was the use of building it and using it without actually using it?
You need a strategy behind it.
You need to have a strategy, you need to work towards it. You can't just sit there and expect, I'm on Facebook, it's going to work. It's not going to happen.
Well, it doesn't work for business, it's not going to work for you.
For either, it's going to work.
Ivo actually is interesting. Ivo just came in last minute, but he's run a few tracks in the True Unconferences. I'm not sure if anyone's familiar with those, but these are quite a hit actually globally now, looking at different social methods and candidate experiences. And I think your tracks were actually specifically on the candidate experience. I mean, what information would you kind of give as a snippet in terms of how to use tools like Facebook to engage with the employers and really allow the companies to give that candidate experience they're looking for?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's actually what I was talking about on these tracks in Geneva and Madrid. And there are a couple of points that we talked about, like the personality issue. And I think you have to see the social media tools as an additional tool to do when you do your networking. It's like Twitter is a great tool to reach out to people you don't know. Because it's a microblog, you can easily shoot out a message. You don't have to introduce yourself. You can just connect, you can react on a tweet. But if you really want to get in contact with a person, then Twitter, for example, would be a great way, like how we got in touch.
Right.
You know? It was just like a short message saying like we have a mutual friend, let's meet up, let's connect, and that's how I ended up here. So I think that's one of the points that people have to consider and have to keep in mind.
And respect barriers as well. You know, I think that.
Yeah.
I think you know, I was actually very impressed. The way that you actually connected with me, you know, via Twitter was, we have a mutual friend. Like, I'm not, you know, I just haven't searched you and I found you, and now when I come to your office, you know, you have to be conscious of the dialogue, of communication. I think this comes back to what you were saying as well, Dave, is that, you know, often people think, okay, I'm just going to plaster on someone's Facebook page that we should have a meeting, or going to connect to them on LinkedIn, and I don't even know who they are.
It's like walking up to someone and slapping them.
Right.
There still has to be a human element.
Which is surprisingly effective.
It's great that you said that.
They'll talk to you.
With
That's
all
for
this
sure.
innovation, there'll always have to be a human
Absolutely.
element involved.
Well, I think like a big concept that we're trying to say is don't be afraid to take risks, but
Absolutely.
take educated risks. You know, don't put yourself in a position that wastes time. And I think one big thing is if you're running, if you're doing social media networks or something like that, it does have to have a purpose. But there's also a lot of websites out there and growing communities like co-working spots, things like that. For very cheap amount of money, like $100 a month, you could actually network with people that may be able to help you get a job or something like that. So you have to come back to the human element, even if you're reaching out.
That ties
through the
nicely
internet.
actually into a question by Lisa, who's actually saying, are there any specific online networks for the advertising community, the ecosystem, like around this space, or is it just more the general?
There has to be
Absolutely.
hundreds of groups on LinkedIn.
There's a lot of LinkedIn groups
Absolutely.
specifically to, like, I know there's like a strategy group in LA kind of thing, but I don't know. I
Or
don't
call
see-
you. I mean, this is going to
You
be
can
the
Google it, I'm sure, and
First,
find out
like-
exactly where you are locally, or
The reality is you want to go where the most eyeballs are. I mean, that hasn't changed no matter what you do in this business, whether it was television of the 70s or the web of the 2000s. You want to go where the eyeballs are. And the reality is eyeballs are on Facebook, eyeballs are on LinkedIn. And, you know, I think one of the key things that we're missing here is understanding who you're going after and what you want to do. When you're starting off, you want to be able, you know, it is a lot about your personality. But, you know, after 5 years at 72 and Sunny, it's no longer about your personality. It's the fact that you're working for one of the leading agencies in the globe, and you've got all these proof points, and you're experienced in the gaming business, right? So where you go from there is you can start off big, right? And you start off in Facebook, you start off in LinkedIn, and then you look at, okay, what's my experience? I'm in the gaming industry. Oh, wow. Well, there's a whole nother approach to how you get into the market as you look at the gaming industry sites. Tremendous amount of conversation going on in the gaming industry sites, and opportunities for people that are looking for people that are, you know, who've got experience in that. And I think that's the one thing you've got to, we've missed on. I mean, at the beginning, it is a lot about your personality, about what differentiates you. But as you pick up experience, you were saying you had trade show experience, right? And you probably had trade show experience in different industries. Then you start looking to understand those industries and go out and look for people who are talking in those industries. Now, there's all these different discussion groups on LinkedIn, but there's also industry-specific online publications, industry-specific events.
Any
industry
specific examples you could kind of name check here, or
Sorry?
any examples you could name check with these advertising specific publications?
Well, you go into any industry. Right? So
You mean
your
specific to the-
experience,
right.
it would be specific to the industry, and I don't know what all the gaming, but I know
I mean, there are gaming blogs and stuff like that. And one thing that came, I can't even remember the name of it, but like I used to work on Carl's Jr. It was another brand that we had, and there are, it's QSR Weekly or something like
QSR
that.
Weekly,
It's
right.
like one of these things where you just sign up, you get an email. It's like it won't all be helpful because most of it's geared towards people who have quick service restaurants. But being in that world and knowing who those people are, who's writing the articles and
And
stuff
you
like
see
that.
the connections, and you work back through your bigger network tools. But the thing is, it's taking your experience, the industries, the vertical. It's marketing, right? It's segmenting yourself. It's understanding, right? My specialties are technology, consumer electronics. I have spent a lot of time on Samsung, not doing the good work you guys are doing. Yeah, pharmaceutical, yeah, so those are three industries, and public service did rebranding for Wendy's corporate, right? So the QSR, I completely understand that. Those are markets where you can take that experience and parlay, begin to segment yourself and expand beyond your traditional horizontal type sites for networking.
So we spent a lot of time talking about getting into the market, and you kind of started to touch on what can you do once you're in the market to actually build
you need
your
to
career.
evolve, right? So it's like you want first year in the market, you've got a year's worth of experience.
Sure. You also touched on having, like Harvard on your resume.
Right.
So, I mean, most people don't have Harvard on the resume.
Exactly.
So, I mean, as an employer, you may not have 72 and Sunny on your resume.
Right.
So, I mean, building that portfolio, building your own brand, and I mean, it is just as important as getting into the industry. Once you're in, you have to build on that so you can sell yourself to go out and get a better job.
No, that's absolutely.
You create your own brand of yourself.
Right, but you're starting, so look at your experience that you have from whatever internships that you had or whatever jobs you had as when you were younger, and look to vertically segment as opposed to just saying I want the advertising. So you might say that I worked at a Gap, right? So I'm big into fashion, right? Well, you go towards companies that are focused on fashion as opposed to companies that are focused across the board. It's really, you're a strategist, right? It's understanding your marketplace and being able to say, how can I take something, I helped my daughter put her resume together, right? She was a babysitter, but it's great for childcare. Being able to get in, being able to expand that and define.
But someone just starting out, they got more than that.
Oh, so what I was going to say, I think and I know we have to go on and we have more things to talk about, but I think a very undervalued tool is Twitter. And I know a lot of people love to hate on Twitter, and I think that's because they don't understand Twitter. But that is the perfect place to create your own brand, right? And it's a very undervalued way to connect with people. I have made more Twitter friends that have turned into real life friends that have turned into good connections in the ad world in the last year than I have made almost in the real world.
Doesn't Twitter honestly just become kind of like an SMS type tool for you?
Not at all.
It depends how you use it.
It depends how you use it.
I mean, there's so many different layers to use.
We could talk about it forever, but yeah. It's about
I actually
following.
feel that way about LinkedIn.
Twitter is about following what you're interested in and showing the world how you think and feel. And so I think Twitter is an amazing place to show your personal brand because you can post what you think and interesting things in the world. And then if you were trying to hire me, you can look at my thing like, oh my God, Mike's into like these in music and this other stuff, and he can write well or he can't write well or whatever. And
Or just follow the 5 people that you want to work for, and every time they make a post, give a comment on it.
That's exactly what happens.
How many hiring managers are going to sit there on Twitter and read through your feed?
Not a lot, but I do have to say that the people that I've interviewed, I've looked at their Twitter and I will judge them.
And you're searching now. A lot of people are actually searching on search terms, hashtags.
Absolutely.
It's done a lot, and I think that, I personally, I really, really value Twitter for the business and just for communication in general. In terms of being able to kind of build a community, you really can. You don't have to know them. You build relationships with kind of common interests rather than, and it's really, really powerful. So I think, and a lot of recruiters now are starting to see that because that is almost becoming your track. It's becoming, it's everything. It's everything about you, and you're seeing like what your interests are, what you feel about the world, and it is very, very, very powerful.
And it's about the company too. So I at our place, it's very important to us that we're not only going to show our new work on our Facebook and our Twitter, but we're going to show the culture. 50% of what we post is about the culture to make people feel like, oh my God, I want to work there.
But that should be with every post that you have, whether it's you're a corporation posting for your
Very
company,
much so.
or if you're a person looking for a job. It doesn't have to be just a boring post, I'm looking for a job, anyone hiring a PM, or it's.
But this is
what you did this past week, and that builds your personality, though.
But even from if you look at it from the company side, companies have to start to incorporate this type of marketing.
They have to. How could they not? They're appealing to a younger audience also. People want to see that.
Acquisition.
And if there's one thing that millennials care about most, it's about what a brand stands for. I think that's it.
I think we're getting a bit tight on time, and I want to just see. We've talked a lot about kind of coming into the industry, developing networks, kind of now starting to talk a little bit about how you can kind of create your your specialty and build your own experiences and your brand. Is there anything that we would like to cover from anyone here in terms of any last couple of questions? Yeah.
Is there any social networking sites specifically targeted for marketers and advertisers that we can go to?
Yes, I think that's kind of what Lisa's original question was, is there's places, great educational tools like meetup.com where you can go to a place and meet up with people that are interested in the market that you're trying to get into.
Sets up, they
Yeah,
set up,
it's free.
Interest groups.
And
Interest groups, exactly.
great,
I've seen them at bars, at restaurants.
Does anyone
There's
drink more than the marketing and advertising?
no, there's great
No.
newsletters like if
I know they're all over the city.
No one does.
I remember looking at them.
If you're in New York City, a place like that, they have garysguide.com or something like that, where it has all the tech events in one place, just in one email. So you could go, if it was specifically for tech advertising, you're going to see 5 free events, maybe one's hosted by Google, maybe one's hosted by an educational tech company, maybe one's hosted by Innovate CV. And what happens is then you can go and actually
network.
Yeah, network, and you're face to face. And then I think that's where the second point comes as far as the Twitter. That's what makes it really powerful, is if you make that connection in person and then you also have the internet presence, I think it can really
That's what I
help.
actually love about the true events, is that you've got this kind of online community where people are engaged in general, and then you meet up once in a while, and you can actually put, you have that kind of physical relationship, which I think is very important.
And anybody can do it. Anybody can do it.
Christmas is coming up.
Sorry.
Crash every company holiday.
That is the best way to
You'd be
buy it.
surprised what's free, and how many drinks you can get for free as well.
There you go.
We have a question over
Well,
here.
it wasn't really a question, it's more of a comment. It's also, I just want to add on to what I was saying earlier, and I think it also pertains to what you've been talking about, is one of the things that was extremely helpful for me, and that I think was not meant to be helpful in finding where I am now, but will be helpful in the future, is that I reached out to my alumni network. I went to Wellesley College, and the alumni network is very, 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 very strong. And even if it's not strong, trying to reach out to people who have some kind of connection with you and want to help you out is really helpful. And I've maybe met, in the past 6 months about 40 different people from different networks who I'm interested in what they do, and they now know where I am, and they will follow me throughout my career. So having those kinds of people you reach out to through different types of networks is really important.
Or even get the names from your alumni department and then become friends with them on Twitter and crash for holiday.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. We should all back together. Yeah, that's
One
what
last
we're
question, which we'll close with, which is coming from Jonathan, who's asking, he's been on the sales side in account management for about 4 years. How can he kind of develop skills to become a creative? I'm not sure, Josh, is that something you can talk to?
Could you repeat the question? He's got a sales side?
He's been on the kind of sales account management side within the agency I'm taking.
He's looking to jump to the other side.
He'd like to get into the creative side of the business.
Yeah, so the reality of that is making friends with the creatives and getting the opportunity to share ideas. Because what really generates good creative is insights, right? So when you can understand what the customer wants and what the customer needs. Creative, you need a skill, right? I mean, it's nice to say that you want to be it. If you want to be it, then you need to focus on it. You need to get trained, or if you do have, some people have natural ability, right? Everybody that walks into it, or natural, right? I don't know if he's looking to be a copywriter, or if he's looking to be an art director, but begin to work with the creative teams, and they give you the opportunity to work on some projects that you can express and show the quality of your work.
Do you get that, Danielle? I mean, you're working in smaller firms. Are you able to kind of switch between?
Yeah, I'm kind of wear many hats in my position. And one thing, it's maybe a little off topic, but I really want to make this point, is that never underestimate the power of entrepreneurship. You always have, if you're not satisfied with what you're doing, you use your network of people that you know, and you talk to people and see, hey, how can we work together? Feel people out. I mean, I've talked to a lot of my friends who are young and they're kind of unsatisfied with their job, and I'm like, well, what if we did something? Look for voids in the market. Look for opportunities. I mean, they're everywhere. Be creative with how you want to work.
And there's a good website for that. Actually, somebody asked what's specific to the marketing industry. It's a website called thehireddone.com, and that is one of the sites that actually gives the opportunity for freelance people or people looking for interim gigs to find out what's going, to do some networking out there.
I think one of the easiest ways, just to go back to the question real quick, or to add to what you were saying, in LA, at least, there's a thing called Bookshop, and Bookshop, what they do is they make portfolios. They have, literally, it's like a 6-week, go in, they give you assignments, and every week they help you craft something so that you have a portfolio that you can show an agency what you're thinking and how you think. And I think that's one of the easiest ways to be pushed into it.
You need work. You need something.
Exactly. You just have to, at the end of the day,
content.
it's trust, right? And so the trust might come from working with these creative teams and like, oh my God, this guy's awesome or this girl's awesome. Or it's showing a portfolio that you've created, you know?
I think it's a really, really, really interesting discussion. I mean, and to be honest with you, we've got some people actually saying how much they've learned, and they're already thanking us even before we finish. So I know a lot of it was appreciated. I think what would be a nice way to kind of close is for everyone on the panel to kind of like think about like one takeaway for people here in the room as well as people watching it online. You know, we talked about a lot of terms of how you can get into the industry, how you can stand out from the crowd, how you can develop a network, and then really how you can advance your career. But what is like the one-liner that you would kind of give away as one final piece of advice? So, Ryan, can I start with yourself?
I'm going to focus on building your career. I feel like you've got to get creative in if you want to get into this industry, you can get creative if you really want to get into it, but is never miss an opportunity to collect information or collect a piece of work that you worked on, because 5 years from now, I guarantee you will forget about it. So I don't know if that's, using a website, if it's using a shoebox. Just, collect that kind of portfolio as you go, because you're going to need it at some point.
I'm going to touch real quickly on using your network. Use your network, touch people. Go on as many interviews as you can. Every person you meet at these networking groups, every person that you speak with is a potential interview right then and there. You may not like the job, you may not like the person, that person may know someone who may know someone who may know someone who may remember them 3 months later. So always be on your best behavior and shake hands and
Drink
make sure, bring business cards.
Create an elevator pitch for yourself?
Exactly.
That's the biggest thing, is make sure you're developing your skills for the new economy. Make sure that your skill set that you're trying to focus on is actually going to be an industry that is thriving. So for me, for example, I started focusing on search engine marketing because more ad revenue is going into Google Ads than even traditional copy. 20 years ago, that didn't exist. So you want to keep constantly upgrading your skills for the future marketplace.
So I should become a printer?
No, and be adaptable.
Work on your elevator pitch. You need to be able to say, why you want to be in this business, besides that you just want to be in this business because you think it's cool. Figure out what your passion is, what you like, and believe it or not, if you like clothes, if you like technology, you'd be surprised how much more passionate you can be focusing and talking about that particular subject. So get your elevator pitch together.
I guess my advice would be always just follow every opportunity you possibly can. You never know where it'll lead you. Make yourself, have people remember you, talk to people, make sure that you connect with them after, and always think outside the box, and don't be frustrated when someone tells you no. Just push harder. Push harder, and maybe you'll find something you never expected.
I would say, just don't be afraid to be weird and different and interesting. We don't need more ad people in the world. We don't need more marketing people. We just need people that think differently and thinking interest. That's where you get the outside the box thinking, is when you're you don't come from advertising, or you're not traditionally trained. And if you're not traditionally trained, that can be your asset. Look, I'm not traditionally trained. I'm not going to think about it like everyone else who's come from ad school or whatever. And I think just show your diversity and passion and stuff like that.
And we've got to tie it all up to the very beginning now, Mike, because we want to see your passion.
I don't know if it's going to show up on video very well.
Well, we can try.
All right, I can attempt it. Not that I was prepared for this, but I did bring a deck of cards. How much time do we have? Is this going to cut us off in 2 minutes?
For a good trick.
Yeah, I don't know. Can you see this at all? You can? All right, cool. Look, there's nothing weird about it. It's not like smoke or mirrors or trap doors or hidden assistants. There's not like 8 aces or something like that. And here, how should we do this? You're in the center. Here, you're in the center. Do me a favor. Just someone stop and me one, please. Right there? Is that right? Look, I've already seen 8. So if you take the next one, don't show me, but show everyone else, please. Don't say it or else this trick will suck.
Show the camera.
Yeah, show the camera too. You guys got it? Cool. Camera's got it? Sweet. And just tell me when to stop anytime you like, please. Stop. Put it back right there. Excellent, put it back. Look, it's somewhere in the middle, right? There's no breaks or anything like that. Would that be impressive? If I, did you forget the card? It's cool, man. You're like the worst assistant ever, it's right. Would that be impressive if I could take this card, your card, have it jump to the top right now? Cool, I got one yes, that's all I need. On 3, 1, 2, 3, just like that. One card, straight to the top, these 7 of hearts, which is not your card. I just want to show you guys I can bring in different cards at the top, don't worry about it.
Outside the box thinking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, look, one more card actually jumps
That's how
right
you
to the
got
top.
that interview.
7 of diamonds, which is also, we have 50 more chances, guys. It's totally cool. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I forgot to tell you, in my wallet beforehand, I made a prediction of the card you're going to pick. Hold on.
I saw you guys outside together
Yeah,
talking.
we've been working together a while. Look in there. See the little card right there?
Yeah.
I'll show you around. Just 360 view. When you pull it out, show it around and flip out.
Show the camera.
What?
No.
It was actually the king of clubs.
Whoa.
Congratulations.
So we're going to wrap it up. Thanks everyone for the panelists for coming along, the audience here and online. We have the next Innovation in HR coming up next month. It's actually going to be focused all exclusively on graduate recruitment. So it's, you know, we're kind of doing this, looking at across industry, but specifically at entry-level jobs, what students and career centers can be doing at schools, at universities to be helping their students find their first place in the workplace. So that's the next Innovation in HR next month. We hope you can enjoy it and join it. We've definitely enjoyed tonight. Thank you so much for watching it, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.